right. Hello, everybody. Hope you're having a good time out there. This is Eric Johnson, also known as the EDJ Geek. I'm not in my normal office, not my normal brick walls and everything like that. I'm actually in Texas, in Austin. Joining me today is Michael Leando. Where you come from, Michael?
I'm not in Texas. I'm in the great state of Iowa this morning. It's
Nice.
that place you see when you're flying over it.
Look down. There it is. Dude, you are rocking a beard that I can only be jealous of.
I
Uh,
appreciate
I
it.
told you I don't have the ability. One, I can't grow non-gray hair anymore. You have less kids than I do, I believe.
Yeah.
In just looking at your beard, yeah. So that's hey, I'm glad you're here. Michael Lindill joined us today. He is coming from the Amplify team. That's not just your role. What is your role? Tell us your role at AWS.
Yeah, officially on paper, it's senior developer advocate on the Amplify team. I've been here, 6 months now.
Okay.
And it, as we know, as DAs, it encompasses a lot of things. So I'm all over the place, writing
Yeah,
blogs,
yeah.
talking with product teams, all that good stuff. And especially during reInvent season, it gets crazy.
Yeah, it does. Welcome to your first reInvent as an Amazonian. We were talking about how crazy that can get, and so yeah, it's our jobs from day to day never look the same, and that's not a complaint. I love what I do. I love who I do it for. We have a good time. This is the very last pre-invent session.
Ooh,
Next week, that's right. Did you know we're there? The surprise in your face makes me a little scared. Yes, reInvent starts next week. We have some great stuff coming. We've had some pre-invent. How you doing? Pre-invent launches, and so all through. Just a real quick plug. All through reInvent next week, we're going to be doing serverless office hours at 11 a.m. Pacific time. I won't even try to do the math for where you are. I'm really bad with time zones, and it never fails. I'm trying to set up a meeting for one time zone that I'll be in another time zone while I'm in a third time zone, and someone's there in the middle of the night. That's just how it goes. So, yeah, 11 a.m. Pacific time, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And real excited on Wednesday. Actually, David Richardson, who is the VP of Serverless. You don't get any higher in Serverless in AWS than David Richardson. He's joining us. He's going to be opening up for questions. I encourage you to send me your questions, to bring your questions. He's got to talk about Serverless past, present, and future. Super excited about that. But let's jump to today. Today, you guys had a cool feature. When did this release?
actually, it just released this week. Officially. Well, I guess my weeks are getting all messed up now. Last Monday
Yeah.
is when it released. So I did
Oh,
a
are we releasing it right now?
like
That's all I
actually
need
if
to.
you're tuning in, like join me now because this is hot off the press.
Someone's scrambling to put a blog out right now. Let the blog out.
Michael is announced
Leando and Johnson, shut him up.
first reInvent, folks. Bear with me here.
That's right. I will tell you about a real quick story. My very first reInvent, I had actually agreed to speak at a conference in Moscow before I started AWS. So AWS, of course, said,
Nice.
yeah, sure, you can still go do that. And so when I went to Moscow, it was like the middle of the night, and Chris Munns, who at the time was my boss and still with AWS, and he pings me and says, "Hey, something just leaked. Was it you?" And I mean, it was like, "Oh my god, was it me? I don't know." I was so panicky. Yeah, it's always fun to know a bunch of stuff and then wonder if you've said it, because I'm a talker. If you haven't noticed this, I'm a talker. So.
It's funny you mentioned
All right,
that.
so I'm going to turn it over to you. We kind of alluded, hey, we're going to talk about this. Hey, Bob in Toronto checking in. Bob, welcome.
What up, what
Hey,
up?
anybody else want to check in? Tell us where you're from, and love to give you a shout out. But Michael, tell them about. We alluded to it that we never said what the feature is. What is the feature we're going to talk about today?
We actually have a bunch. So Amplify released a bunch of accessibility features, and maybe let's just set the stage here. So
Okay.
Amplify, right? Amplify is a way
Yeah.
for front-end developers to quickly scaffold out their applications, as well as push them out over to production. I know that on this channel, you talk a lot about SAM, you talk a lot about CDK. Amplify fits in that mix as well. It's just geared
Yeah.
more towards front-end developers. So we issue a suite of products via a CLI. We have pre-built components, so that way developers don't have to write their own. And we have a bunch of other features that really help make the experience great without some of the jargon that comes with back-end familiar developers. We really cater things towards that front-end experience.
Nice. Hey, no pressure, but in our hellos, we've got hello from Paris, hello from Whidbey Island. We've got Julian's not here today. Julian and I, sometimes we tag team, sometimes we're opposite. We have a hello from Denver. Now I'm going to tell you, Matthew Bonnick is here today, and this is one of our CDK experts. So no pressure on you. When Matthew's around, I try not even to spell CDK because I'll probably get it wrong. And Matthew's very critical of me. But, hello from London, Adam. Hello from Miami. It just went dark in my office. So this works, actually. This is kind of cool lighting. So here's what happened. In the office I'm in, the sensor is behind a light. It doesn't know I'm in the room, and it keeps shutting the light off. So, yes, I think I signed my rights away to my firstborn child. Yes, you did. Yes, that is very true on the NDA. So, all right, Michael, I'm going to turn it back over to you. I'm going to stop interrupting you until I interrupt you again. So,
oh no, it's all good. I look forward to next time.
I'm going to get my light to come back on.
So now that we understand a little bit about Amplify, extensibility has always been on the forefront of our customers' minds, meaning customers think it's great that we give you ways to add in authentication via AppSync and API Gateway and Lambdas galore, become a really awesome experience. And even adding Cognito is super simple within the Amplify ecosystem. However, AWS is dealing with 175 plus services, and it's going to grow this year. So how do we integrate that with Amplify? We can't possibly use a CLI to say, pick the service you're wanting to integrate. So instead, we said, we're going to introduce a new command. Amplify add custom is going to generate a CDK stack for you. And from there, you feel free to add in whatever resources that you want to add, and that'll automatically integrate within the Amplify ecosystem. So you're never really having to choose between Amplify, CDK, or whatever type of other CloudFormation templating language you're working with.
So now I am going to interrupt you. So one, super cool. Just really cool, really smart way to go about that. I love this idea of we could come up with another way, or let's use one of the ecosystems that are already there, like the CDK. And then a lot of it, and correct me if I'm wrong, which I'm never wrong, but you're willing to try here. Some of the stuff just natively, we generate, or Amplify generates CloudFormation and SAM templates. So those are already there, and you can use those. But now you can use CDK. So you have different choices based on, because we hear from a lot of developers. I'm a CDK fan. Look, I have my CDK shirt on. I said I'd wear my CDK shirt on. For Rebecca, it says why I honor. So but I'm known as the SAM guy. I use SAM all the time. I love SAM, but I love CDK as well. And so I love this flexibility that you guys are bringing out.
Definitely. Now, with that, though, there comes a slew of extensibility features that I'm going to try and touch on today. So in addition to integrating with the CDK, now your Lambdas can access custom IAM policies, because by default, Amplify will automatically say, oh, you're hooking up your Lambda to API Gateway. Let me go ahead and configure those permissions based off of what you stated in the CLI. But sometimes your Lambda is going to talk to something like your DynamoDB database or a custom SNS topic that you created with the CDK. Well, then now we generate a custom policies file that'll go ahead and create all the associated execution roles for you. And Amplify push will push that up to AWS. So there's the ability to do just a whole bunch of fun things that got released last week.
All right. So if I override and I'm talking to, and maybe I missed a gap here for a second. If I override and I'm talking to my Lambda function, by the way, if you say Lambdas, Chris Munns will tackle you. So I'm just giving you a heads up. Yeah. So here on the stream, you're safe. But if you're in reInvent and you say Lambdas from a stage, he will come from wherever he is in the world and tackle you right there. Yeah. So we've already got some people posting here. That's a long-lasting joke. but it's not a joke. He will. So, but anyway, yeah, no, exactly. So I'm calling you out right here in public. So if I create if my Lambda function is talking to a DynamoDB table, and only one table, because we do single table, right? And then or it does a topic, then the role that's created already encompasses that.
Yeah, absolutely. So with the Amplify CLI, it will automatically set up the correct permissions for your Lambda and for your DynamoDB database based off of what you specified.
Okay.
But it doesn't know what other services you're going to be adding inside of your Lambda function.
Okay. All right. I follow.
That's where that file is going to come in.
That's where you can get there and manage that. Makes sense.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And then the other thing that we released that I'll try to touch on today are command hooks. Command hooks give you the ability to specify what you want to do at a certain point in your Amplify process. So before you push up your code, you can have a pre-push command, or after you push up your code, you can have a post push. What that means is that after your build succeeds, or after your build gets pushed up to AWS, you can kick off a Slack notification by simply integrating with these files here.
Okay.
Really cool stuff.
Super cool stuff. Yeah, very cool. We're getting some comments from Chris Munns, just so you know. Yeah, he's the Terry Tate, which this might go back before. Do you remember the Terry Tate commercials where he would tackle people?
Yeah.
For a minute, I was like, "What?" Then I got it. Then I remembered it. So there you go. Yeah. All right. Okay. So you're gonna show us some stuff, right?
I'm gonna show us some stuff. I'm gonna show us some stuff.
A thing or two. I got something.
So a little something for the folks.
A little something or something.
Let me go ahead and share my screen here.
All righty. All right, you ready? I'm gonna bring it up.
Ready. So
right. Is it? And I'm gonna ask real quick for the audience feedback. Is that big enough for y'all? You good? Let us know, and I'll interrupt you if we need to blow it up. So
awesome. So typical React app here. It actually doesn't do a whole lot, and I'm not too interested in what's going on here. What I'm gonna do instead is bring over this little application right here. And we're gonna be focusing on this one. This probably looks a lot more familiar to your audience instead of the React code, but
probably so, yeah. By the way, they called us beautiful, just so you know. So their size is good, and they called us beautiful. So yeah.
So we have what we're gonna do here is try to create some kind of secret gifting application. So this time of year, around the holidays, depending on what you do for the holidays. Oftentimes you want to do it anonymously. You want to get your coworkers involved. You want to say, hey, everybody give me your email, give me your phone number. And I'm going to go ahead and just randomize that list, set up a budget, and everyone is going to get assigned a secret individual. So if we have myself, Eric, and Chris Munns, right, we would all get a notification via email or phone number, whatever, just kind of specifying who it is that we have and what the budget is for that person. So walking through this application, we're going to touch base on a bunch of different Amplify categories, a bunch of different AWS services, as long as, in addition to the extensibility features that we were talking about earlier. So let's walk through here. We have Cognito, setting up authentication, pretty cool. We have API Gateway. API Gateway is going to route. I have 3 Lambda functions here. And but in the application, it's actually just going to be one, and we'll use the Amplify CLI to split that out. But I'll show you how you can split out your Lambda functions if you didn't want to have that monolithic experience as well.
All right.
So this Lambda is going to be in charge of a couple of things: listing the users that are inside of our database. It's also going to fetch those users, post data to it. But you notice that I also have a DynamoDB trigger here. What this is going to do is say anytime we add a record or update it to our database, we can go ahead and subscribe those users to an SNS topic. Now from here, I'm going to have a button on my front end application that is simply going to say, all right, go ahead and take those users within my application that are presumably now verified via their email and send them an email individually, giving them one person that they have the responsibility of grabbing a gift for.
Okay, so Secret Santa right here.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right.
Secret Santa, I think there's another one. What is it? White Elephant?
White
Chat.
elephant. Yeah. White elephant. Yeah. Yeah.
Let me
Oh,
know.
I used to be a youth leader, and man, I know white elephant. Yeah, I've played a lot of white elephant. I have some really gross, yucky presents at home still. So
So, for folks that aren't familiar with Amplify, this is going to be a good showcase of just how quickly you can get started, but then also some of the flexibility as we talk about these extensibility features.
are you going to build this from scratch?
I am notorious for I go hard in the paint. So
Oh
when it
my
comes to
gosh, you're
demo,
brave. I'm impressed. I'm impressed.
well, I haven't built it yet. So I mean,
Oh well, okay, yeah. I look to be impressed, but I'm not committing to it.
our front end application is actually pretty simple, but we don't have to go through the actual code. Just note that from what we were talking about, we're going to have a button that, or an input rather, so that you can set your own budget. I tried to encapsulate these so that we don't have to get into the nitty gritty. So we have an
Sure,
input to keep track of your budget. We have a heading that says, hey, this is our secret people list. We have a button that gives us the ability to add more individuals as we see fit. And then we have a form. And this form is really just going to ask you, hey, what's your email and what is your full name? So that way it's not like, hey, Michael, your secret person is,
secret.
edjgeek at
Yeah,
amazon.com.
that's right. That's right. So let me ask you: so is this because I know I'm going to get asked? Is this code anywhere where in a repo where someone can get to? Is it in a public repo somewhere?
This
All
is
right.
all of my demos and stuff are made readily available. So I'll
Okay,
link that in the chat.
that'd be great. Thank you.
All right, so let's get started here. So here's our front end application. First and foremost, we need to initialize this as an Amplify project. So I'm going to hop into my terminal. And we can run Amplify init to get started here. And it's going to ask me, it's like, hey, I recognize that you're in a React application. There are some reasonable defaults that I can get set up for you. Do you want that? So Amplify init is going to do its thing. And there we go.
There it is.
Do you want to use an existing environment? Nope. So this environment that I'm going to create is going to be called, let's just say demo.
That's slick. So you could have used one already out there that you have.
Because, yeah, and that's the cool thing about this being open source is
Yeah.
I already have all this available. So my entire backend, it'll pull in for you, which is great for team environments.
That's cool.
So it knows that I'm in VS Code. It's asked me what kind of profile do I want to use. I have my Focus Otter development profile that I'd like to use.
Nice. Would that be the CDK Otter?
It is very similar and inspired by the CDK Otter.
All right.
Back when I was like, look, I want to get a job at either on the Amplify team or the CDK team. So I rolled with the Otter.
Well played, sir.
Yeah,
Well
yeah,
played.
yeah. I should probably change that to like Amplify Otter or something like that.
No, you're fine.
Never. Okay, so this is going to set up an Amplify project for us, and as you can see, it's just kind of tailing the CloudFormation logs. So we have a project being scaffolded, put into a deployment bucket, things like that.
Right, and then it actually is creating resources in the background, right?
The initial scaffolding of the resources, yeah, we haven't really added any just yet, but
okay, yeah, I get you. Gotcha.
Cool. And then it says right here, like, hey, from here on out, you can do things like add an API. Now, what I want to do is first, kind of referring back to that demo, I want to add an authentication. So I'm going to say amplify add auth. And note what I'm like, even the language is different based off of what you're trying to do as a front end developer, right? It's not saying amplify add cognito user pool and identity pool.
Right.
Perfect. We have this set up and we can add in social providers like Amazon, Facebook, Google, etc. I'm going to stick with the defaults just for the sake of time. But I do want my users to validate or rather get signed in with a username. And that's pretty much it. Just like the CDK has reasonable defaults, Amplify does the same thing. It just does it through a CLI.
Do you remember handwriting authentication and trying to wire all that up? What you just did in like 7 seconds?
Every Cub Scout meeting I go to,
Oh,
that's the campfire story.
oh my gosh! Yeah, exactly. Scares those kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's hard. Maybe we used to write everything, but and I know I didn't write it near as secure as Amplify does.
No. So we'll test this out in a second, but let's get some more resources added here, and then we'll sort of see what the full picture looks like.
Okay.
So right now, let's just assume I have authentication set up as a backend resource. I haven't pushed anything up, but locally, let's assume that it's there. I'm going to go ahead and add in my API. So Amplify add API. This is going to take me through a very similar workflow. It's going to ask me, do I want to set up a GraphQL API or a REST API? And I get to choose between, under the hood, API Gateway and AppSync right here.
Okay. And the first one will be AppSync. Second one's API Gateway.
Exactly.
Right.
I'm going to say REST. And it's like, hey, do you want to add a new path to an existing API? No, I'm going fresh.
Nothing but new. Net new.
Provide a friendly name for the resource. This will be our secret. We just call it secret message or message API.
We've got some questions coming in, but I'll wait till we're actually deploying and we'll talk through some of those.
Yeah, for sure. So then we have a path. We'll call this slash. Oh, I don't know. Message. And then to associate this path that I just created, this slash secret message path, it's saying, hey, do you want to add in a Lambda function from here, or do you want to go ahead and create a new one? I'll create a new one. Now I do want to check because I did see that one of the questions was asking about the environments.
Yeah.
Let me make sure that I am not adding too many here. There we go. Yeah, we're good. So I'm going to create a new Lambda function. And then just for the sake of naming, I'll call it, secret message func.
Okay.
You can see the supported runtimes here. I'm going to stick with Node.js. And this is giving me a template that I have to work with. We have full CRUD operations with DynamoDB. So it's going both ways, right? This is my Lambda function, and it's saying, hey, we're going to integrate this with API Gateway. Do you want us to also assume that you're going to be using DynamoDB here? In addition, you could do just straight up hello world. Right. You could do a Lambda trigger, which we'll look at shortly. You could do serverless express, which like back in the day, that was my jam right there.
Right.
And just seeing the code that it writes looked pretty similar to the code that I wrote. It's like, this is such a time saver. And then we have GraphQL Lambda authorizers, but hush on that for the time being.
Gotcha. For the time.
We go big. So we're going to go DynamoDB in here.
All right.
And it's like, all right, well, do you want to go ahead and create a new DynamoDB table?
So yes. Smart enough to know you don't have a table then, or give you a chance to build a table. That's cool.
Exactly. So I'm going to create a new one. And note that each and every one of these, adding a Lambda function, adding an API gateway, adding a DynamoDB table, they can all be added individually as well. I could have done Amplify add storage to add my table first.
Okay.
We'll call this.
We've got some biased opinions being given out there, but yeah. So always assume you're using DynamoDB. So
right.
I'm just gonna leave this up the whole time if that bothers you. I don't know. So.
I like it. So now we get the columns in here. We're gonna keep things pretty flat for the most part. So first column, we have users, we have authentication. So I'm just going to say we have a user ID in here as one of the column types. It's going to be a string.
So you just build it all out of here.
Yeah. Would you like to add another column? Yep. This one is going to be a TTL. I'm going to add a time to live.
Okay.
As we talk about extensibility here, we're going to add this to our DynamoDB column. This, for those of you familiar, it has to be a number. Don't make that a string like I did the first 10 times.
This doesn't work.
Yeah,
I've done that. Call Kurt. Come
Right.
on, Kurt.
And then we'll add one more. This is going to be our people data, which is essentially an array containing that email and that name, which would be a list. And then no more columns from here.
Nice.
And we can get even more granular and more advanced as we want. Partition keys. Yep, user IDs are pretty much going to be unique. We're not going to get into sorting in this demo or GSIs. But
that's above my head. So
yeah.
That's over my head. Yeah. Let's just not complicate things here.
If you're getting into GSIs, let's shift AppSync.
we need Houlihan.
You're right.
Yeah.
It's another person that comes charging in.
That's right.
So now keep in mind, as we build out this demo, we have API gateways set up. We already set up our Lambda function. We'll check out the code in just a moment. DynamoDB just got taken care of. And now it's asking, hey, do you also want to add a Lambda trigger to your table? Now, in our case, whenever a user adds people, emails, and full names to their DynamoDB table, we want that to automatically subscribe them to an SNS topic. And when you're working with SNS, what you have to keep in mind is that they first have to confirm their email. So I'm going to say yes here. And then it's going to take me through a very similar flow. Right? What do you want to do with this function that we're going to create for you? Well, I want you to create a new one. Do you want to edit it now? Let's say no for now. We'll take a deep dive in just a little bit.
But I see things appearing in the folders too, so that's cool.
Exactly. It's like, all right, well, you don't want to edit it now, but did you want to add any advanced settings? Do you want this Lambda function to access additional resources? Do you want it to access AppSync? Do you want it to access SNS that you have created within your project already? I don't want to do that. Schedule invocations, cron jobs essentially. Don't want to do that. If I wanted to, though, I could add in Lambda layers in case I want to encapsulate code. Right. Environment variables, just straight up process.env, and then secret values going through parameter store. All access from within here.
Sweet. Parameter store, secrets manager, or both?
Parameter store. We asked our customers which they preferred, and then we have it for parameter store.
Okay. Nice.
Or is it secrets manager? Now you got me. Now you got me thinking.
That's something we'll have to check out. Yeah.
Right. So do you want to configure advanced settings? I don't in this case. And do you want to edit the local function now? No, we're good. Okay. Well, then now it's asking me about those fine-grained controls. It's saying, hey, do you want to restrict API access on your API? Yes, I do. What do you want to do stuff? Authenticated users. What do you want authenticated users to do? And considering that they need to basically perform CRUD operations on all of these people that they're adding, updating, deleting, etc. Well, if you took the time to sign in, I will give you full access. Do you want to add?
It is parameter store, by the way.
It is.
Yep. Yes, that's the parameter store. There you go. You got it. You know your stuff.
I try. It's only what Amazon pays me to do. So
that's right.
Okay, so from that, I can clear out of here. Let's take a look here. Let's say amplify status. Do two things. So we'll run amplify status. We'll do it with -v, and then maybe we can field some questions as before.
Yeah, that works.
So amplify status is going to give me a brief table showing me all of the resources that just got created for me. So you can see that I have 3 Lambda functions. I have an API. I have, it did pull in my other items here. I'll remove those shortly. Okay. And because as you can see, I was doing this first with text messaging, but we're going to be using emails in my example. So, and then you can see that we have the DynamoDB database created right here.
Yep. Now, is it created already, or it's going to create when you push?
Thank you for the correction there. Once I push, it's going to be created.
All right.
And then the last part is, for those of you that are familiar with the CDK, we did add in this right here, which should probably look familiar. I'm gonna move those files to the side for a little bit. And what amplify status -v does is give us a verbose output of what is going to be created for
Okay.
us. So it's under the hood. It's straight up CDK diff,
Okay.
but it says, hey, here are all of the auth resources that we're going to create, right? Regarding the identity pool, user pool, etc. Here are the parameters that you could find. There's just a bunch of stuff to go through here.
I didn't know about this one. This is cool. Yeah, that's super helpful. Is that new?
It is relatively new. I would
Okay.
say
All right.
month and a half.
Okay.
All right, so there's that. We're gonna get into some more fun, but let's see what the audience has to say.
Yeah. Okay, got a couple of questions. First of all, just real quick, point out again that Matt says my beard makes me look wise. That's not important, but I accidentally clicked on it. All right, so let's say I create an Amplify app for Android and I have Auth and REST API created with it. Can I create a React app also that authenticates with the same Cognito pool?
Yeah, you absolutely can. It's one of the like coolest features with Amplify is that you can share your backends with different front ends.
Okay. All right. We have another question. Let me go back up here a little bit here. Joan Zechariah Noel said, when you mentioned about Amplify team environments, can we lock the environment to account an environment be access controlled?
Yeah, definitely. So when you saw me doing Amplify, what was it? Amplify init, and it asked me for that profile, right? Those are the credentials that I have as a user. So I can only push to the account that I have there. Now, let's say that you are part of an organization and you're doing some consulting work. What we also enable is multi-factor authentication as you go through that initialization process. So it'll check if you have the right execution role to even talk to an external AWS account. Or you can also set up, and I'm searching real quick for the name. What is it? Fine-grained access with IAM policies, conditional keys.
Oh, yeah.
What's the word?
Resource policies. I'm sorry.
I know it was there.
Got
And then
blank.
it was
You know,
gone.
we need Bridget Johnson, not Eric Johnson. She knows way better.
But yes, you can access or get really fine-grained with the controls around a specific account. And even
Right.
though I prefer to demo with an admin account, it's just easier for me. That doesn't mean that you need admin privileges. In fact, we have a whole sheet of the exact policies that a user would need to get started with Amplify.
Yep. All right, one more question here. Is this something where the idea is to use the Amplify CLI to bootstrap the CDK, and then on your own, I think you're expected to edit the CDK code manually?
So I think we got a two-parter there. Right? Amplify
Yeah.
can be used to bootstrap your application. And in a lot of cases, what I say is that if you're a front-end developer or you're working on a front-end application, start with Amplify.
All right.
Now, that's my opinionated approach of working on the team. But
Opinionated is good.
yeah. And then the other part is, are you expected to edit the CDK code manually? It's a lot of users, a lot of our customers, they deploy their entire applications with just Amplify because that's all their project needs. They can use everything out of the box. Now, realistically, there are many other customers that need additional services and resources. So I wouldn't say that you're forced to edit the CDK code. It's that we give you the ability to if you need it.
Okay. Much like you can with the SAM. So
Yeah.
yeah. All right, one other here, and it's more of a statement, but I get your opinion here. It says, please, can I learn more about this code procedure? If you want to tell someone to start with Amplify, where would you send them?
Like and subscribe on YouTube. Click that notification bell. No,
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
I would say our docs are a great starting place. Now, there's two places that you want to head to, though. If you go to sandbox. I believe it's amplifyapp.com, that will give you a way to get started with modeling your data, setting up just resources, experimenting, even inviting other users with what could be an AWS project without even having an AWS account. It's super nice, super helpful. And then when you are ready to deploy, it'll ask you, hey, does this one person want to add their AWS account to it? And if they do, great. But then all your other users don't need to have an AWS account.
Yep. And I've posted that link here so you can start playing around with it.
Appreciate it.
So yeah, no problem. Here we go. Do we have an option to automate this rather than providing all the options in the terminal?
Oh, I love these questions. Yes, we do. We you can
Snowballs.
I know. I was just knocking these out of the park.
That's right.
Two ways, in fact. You can operate Amplify in what's known as headless mode, meaning you can absolutely can just have a script. And we have this within our documentation on how to do so. But all the options that you're seeing here, you can do, dash dash, and then accept dash dash y, which is, yes, accept the defaults. Or if there are specific options that you want to change, that's available in headless mode as well via a config. The other way is that you could create an Amplify application from the CDK. So now we can get into sort of inception where you have CDK, colon Amplify, colon CDK, etc. But there's a couple of different ways that you could do that.
So I just posted the link to the headless for the CI/CD, and then I'm grabbing a link to the module, AWS Amplify module for CDK as well.
Eric, you work super fast with the links.
Oh yeah. You know what it is? It's all those fingers are out of the way.
And
very, yeah. I'm aerodynamic.
That's right.
So there you go. All right, we got a couple more coming in, but let's jump back in and I'll come back and do these. So
definitely. This was a lot of fun. So we saw what resources are going to be created, but I want to talk about maybe this first item of extensibility, which is the ability to add in custom command hooks. So as I mentioned, this enforces compliance. It gives you extra abilities to perform actions when something happens in your application. And for me, I want to say before we push up these resources, I want to make sure that our users, anyone who uses this application, are in a specific version of Amplify. So I want to enforce some compliance here. So let's see what that looks like.
All righty. Excuse me.
I'm going to make some room within my terminal and get rid of that. And over in my file structure, we have this Amplify directory, and we'll be exploring this as we go along, but we have this hooks directory as well. Within here, I can go in and create a specific file name. And the one I'm going to create is called prepush.js, meaning before I push anything up. So new file. And then I'll call this, get in there.
That does it to me every time. It takes me twice to create a new file in VS Code. Yeah. I don't know what it is.
Only when I'm doing demos that it wants to act wonky.
Well, yeah, only live. Yeah, no, when nobody's watching, it works fine.
So let's get some easy bake cooking magic in here and just throw some code up on the screen so you don't have to see me struggle. What we're doing in here is pre-push. Now, Amplify is going to look at two things here. It's going to look at when do you want the thing to happen and what do you want to do. So pre, meaning before I do what? Push up code. Well, what I'm going to say here is this file automatically gets access to data and error. Not automatically. We actually inject it down at the bottom.
But the code, you get a pre-baked code that does that. So there's conformity here.
We have great conformity because a lot of the features I'm showcasing today are only available in the latest build of Amplify. It makes sense. We just released it. So if you're going to be trying to clone this project and you're on a later version of Amplify, say version 6, we're going to say, no. Like, we're not going to allow you to push. Minimum CLI requirement isn't met. We're going to go ahead and throw an error in the build. But if you are on the correct version, then we'll go ahead and we'll still log a message so that way you know you're being watched. And then we'll continue with the build process here. So really simple way to utilize these hooks to your advantage in a practical way as well. A lot of customers use this to make sure that no secrets are being pushed. So they can scan certain files, .env files or whatever, to make sure that nothing malicious is being pushed. So it kind of mimics what Git hooks do, but the two actually work really well hand in hand.
So you can put some governance right there at the client.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Very slick.
I'm trying to look here. So we're here, right? Sorry for the stark brightness that probably hops into a lot of our viewers.
Yeah.
So what did we add so far? We have auth, API gateway. We have a Lambda function that calls DynamoDB. But what about this SNS portion right here? And then in addition, TTL isn't something that Amplify sets up by default. You actually have to enable that within DynamoDB. So
okay. I was going to ask you about that. Yeah.
Yeah. What's going on here? Well, let's look at, whoops, not creating extra log messages. The first
you created the TTL with a log. I was going to be so impressed.
Right. I was like, this is what we do now. It's like
that's phenomenal.
Constant.log.
I can log with the best of them, sir. I can log in Node and Python.
Amplify override is what I'm going to do. And it's like, well, what is the resource that you want to override? And I want to override storage. Storage comes in two flavors. Storage, do you mean S3 bucket or do you mean DynamoDB database? It's going to ask me for, which one, if there are others. But if there's just one, we should be good to go.
Okay.
So from here, what it's going to do is create a file automatically for me. Once
now, while that's building, let me ask you this. We got a question earlier, and I think this is where you're driving. So this is amplify step you did earlier, defining DynamoDB auth, all that jazz, which all that jazz is a very outdated statement. That's like 80s, but Matt's old. It creates CDK code somewhere that I can see and edit. And can you show that? Are you getting ready to show us some CDK code?
This is sort of the preface to CDK.
Okay. All righty.
But yeah,
down, Bonig.
By default, actually, what you can expect are the CloudFormation templates, and Amplify works with nested stacks, and all of that is available. I can show that as well.
Okay. But that's the default. So that's what was built earlier. But now we're going to change that up.
Definitely.
All right.
So let me hit enter there. I'll get rid of the side part. So it's like, hey, let's override some stuff. What do you want to do? And if you notice, we're not in JavaScript land anymore. We're in TypeScript, which means we get the full beauty of greater IntelliSense to like the nth degree. So I could say resources and then just sort of dot my way through figuring this out. So this resource corresponds to this DynamoDB table that I created. So I'll say DynamoDB table. And then what can we do here? We could say dot and then explore some more. Right? This is the full sort of, if you work with CloudFormation or CDK, you get all that good stuff.
Well, we're officially in CDK now, right? I mean, this is
CDK.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I think it's SAM, but people argue this is SAM, folks. This is all it is. No, yeah, this is CDK going on. This is awesome.
Yeah. Time to list specification. What does that equal? And then from here, I mean, if I wanted to, I could hover over this and go straight to the docs to learn more. Or it is super, super. We're spoiled over on the Amplify side.
Yeah, you are.
I believe, what do we say here? Enabled? Enabled is going to be true. And then I think it's the attribute name.
Yeah.
So what is the thing on your table that is going to store this TTL? I just happened to name mine TTL, but it could have been anything.
That's good. That's how I do it too. That's
like don't make it harder that I got to memorize.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
like shirt size. What? Right. Yeah, exactly. So
and guess what, folks? That's it. Like that's overriding resources right there.
Wow. So you can do any resource like that.
Any resource within your Amplify project. Yes, but
well, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So if I do this again, let's say I want to override something else, does it add to the same file or does it I guess I would just go to the same file and override it because I'm looking at the resources, right?
If everything in this file corresponds to the DynamoDB table that we created.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay.
So if I wanted to override auth, Amplify override auth. And a lot of customers would do that in a scenario where I think Cognito will give you 30 days to sign up for an application. a lot of organizations are like, yeah, that's way too long. You get like 2 days. So then you can shorten how
Okay.
long that email link is.
Right. Right. Okay. So question coming in said, okay, rather than editing, and I think I'm gonna let you answer, but I have an answer as well. But okay, so rather than editing CDK code directly, you provide a number of overrides that Amplify would then apply to the CDK code.
Yes, yes. So by default, a lot of customers, as I told a half truth earlier, Amplify will give you a lot of CloudFormation, does a lot of CloudFormation stuff under the hood, but we also provide a bunch of CDK constructs that we already integrate with. So we already had this integration under the hood for a lot of our infrastructure, and now we're just sort of servicing that so that way our
Okay.
customers can take advantage.
So is there a way for and I want to be cognizant of time. We only got about 12 minutes left. So if you need me to shut up, it's okay to say, EJ, shut up. But is there a way for me to do everything CDK? Could I say, look, instead of doing CloudFormation stuff, I want everything that could be CDK to be CDK?
And under the hood, no, because that's just an implementation detail that we carry.
Right. Okay.
But what I will do is before time runs out, I'll show you something that's going to blow your mind.
Okay. And I had another question when we get a second. So
Sure. Give me just a moment here. So what I'm doing now is I want to add a SNS topic to my application. And I can either define it or cloud formation. Now, I'm going to stick with the first option and then like leave that statement there. But we're going to go with CDK in here.
Okay.
And it's like,
so you've done so you've done custom resource. Now I can get crazy with my CDK.
now you can do
Nice.
now instead of just overriding something, now we're going to give you a full stack.
Okay.
So I'm going to say we'll call this custom SNS message and then stack. I think
you're not camel casing, you're not snake casing, you're just raw, dude. You're crazy. Love it. I'd never find that. Those are all letters. That makes no word to me. I'm old though, you know.
So what this is doing is it's saying, all right, we're going to go ahead and just slide away from Amplify for just a little bit, create this CDK stack. It's like, do you want to edit it now? Yes, I do. And look what we give you. So we try to make the experience seamless because we realize a lot of our customers are coming from Amplify and they may not be familiar with the CDK. So we give you a number of helpers. We give you imports by default, and these are already imported. And then we also give you pseudocode as well. So if you want to add an SQS queue and hook that up to an SNS topic, uncomment the code and you're good to go. If you want to add IAM roles and associate those accordingly, have at it.
That's awesome. I'm seeing some excitement. We've got a good old fashioned BAM from Matthew Bonig. So that's pretty cool.
BAMs are good. I'll take it.
Yeah, BAMs are solid good. Yeah. So here we have a question. Any chance there might be a visual designer in the future to mock our infrastructure, something like step functions?
I believe that already exists. Yeah.
Not for that I know of, not for CDK.
Oh, I see what they're saying. Yeah. I don't know.
Step functions already exist, and it's awesome. So yeah. So we don't usually talk about roadmap, here. That's and so I couldn't tell you anything on that. So, here's the other one I had. We had any way the hooks can be standardized so that it's easy to add across all projects and environments.
So this is going back to the hooks that we had standardized. I'm getting hung up on that word.
Yeah, can they be standard? And we can come back to that if we need to.
Give us
yeah, I'm not sure. So yeah, I'm not sure exactly. Hey, Joan, Zechariah, Noel, if you can clarify a little bit for us what you're asking. But you did have a follow-up question here. So are the custom resources from CloudFormation? Because I believe that needs a registry. These aren't. These are custom resources are constructs, right?
Yep.
their CDK constructs, which is part of the CDK library, which then so they're either first level or second level.
Definitely.
Yeah. So
And then
clarify that if I'm wrong.
Matthew has another question. Can we reference the existing resources that Amplify already created? I'm assuming that the rest of that is within this CDK stack. That is a fast follow. So that will be coming very soon. But just note that right now, what we're giving you is the ability to create these resources, and then we can use Lambda to access these resources, but going the other way is something coming out very soon.
Yeah. And then we had another question, and here it is. Time to plug you and your team there. Any reInvent session on AWS Amplify that you'd recommend?
What I can say, I don't know if I can say it. Yes,
Okay.
we have some big
Yeah. Like, well, be careful. Be careful.
yeah. I was like, first year, I better watch my tongue. Yes, we have some great sessions coming up, and you can watch us on the opening day to get excited.
Yeah, here's this one. It's in the catalog. I can tell you it's probably a good place to start. Accelerate front-end web and mobile development with the AWS Amplify. That is actually Allison or Ali Spittle who's teaching that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got a couple of them, but that'll probably be a really good one to start with if you're looking at that. And that is FWM, and I'll post it in the channel also. FWM 201. Encourage you to check that out. Amplify. So there's a couple, and I'm going to take like 1 minute here and do kind of spiel that we talk about from a serverless standpoint. Yeah, Amplify heavily relies on serverless. I love it. It's the right way to go. And obviously it taps into some other services as well. But one of the things that sometimes, Michael's talking about the kind of client side generating, stuff, which is the more complex side. And I love it that you're showing this, but the other side of it is the hosting. And we always talk about the hosting, the Amplify hosting. If you have even if it's just a static website, if you have a static based website, man, it's hosted on Amplify. It is easy. You automatically get a CI/CD out of the box. You get, you can do testing. It uses S3 in the back end. It uses CloudFront. You can do custom domains, SSL cert. It handles it all for you. Super easy. It's literally just like my light just went. This is ridiculous that I can't keep my light on, and my mind says, "Oh, the sun is setting" or something. But anyway, super easy way to host a website. Very redundant, very durable. I'll turn it back over to you. But if you haven't checked that out, I encourage you to. I'm going to get my light back on.
You're hired, Eric. I appreciate the accolades. Much appreciated. So as you saw here, I went ahead and being conscious of time, we're going to go ahead and move through this next part. But as I pushed up my resources, it's like, where did this come from? And this is that check on our hook. Just making sure that I'm on the right version. Now I am on the latest version. And so it continued with the push. But had it not, none of this other stuff would have happened. It would have just blown up right there and just said, hey, you need to get on the right version before we can start doing things. It's super cool. Here on the Amplify team, we love emojis. So shout out to the hooks. And
yes.
Yeah, and you can see all the resources being built. Now, this is going to start tailing CloudFormation logs in just a moment. But, and what I should have done was to speed up the deployment, remove some of the extraneous ones that I had going on, but that's okay.
That's all right. Folks can at least see it.
Yeah. So while this is building, I do want to go ahead and showcase one of the other cool parts that got released, and that is the ability to add in custom IAM permissions, as I was mentioning earlier on.
Yeah.
This works really well in conjunction with the Amplify add custom field that we were doing earlier. So let's take a peek here. I'm going to go to, that's going to distract me. Sorry.
There it is. Yeah.
All right. So let's move this over. We have our function here. And then we have, let's just say we have this trigger. This trigger needs the ability to talk to SNS, right? So inside of here, I can go ahead and create a new file called custom policies.
And the naming is important, right?
Naming is important, but it's not too particular. It's actually just in this instance that
Okay.
this file isn't automatically created for you. In
Okay.
all of our, as you can see, in like any other Lambda function that gets generated,
Sure.
will automatically create.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Okay.
So inside of here, I can paste in a policy saying I want to give this, for example, in our case, this would be subscribe.
Oh man.
And note what I have here. So ARNs, one for the account number, one for the region. Feel free to specify those or hard code those if you want. I wouldn't suggest the account number though. And then for the environment, we can have many environments inside of your Amplify application. So we interpolate that for you with this $sign. So this is will automatically reconfigure itself based off of the Amplify environment that you're in.
Dude, how much easier is that than trying to remember the whole policy statement that I have to remember all the time when I'm trying to create stuff?
This was
All you're doing is here's the action and here's the source. And
Yeah.
obviously it's an array, so I can have multiple actions.
Yep.
And the other's an array, so I can have multiple resources. And
Yeah.
then it understands that it's this function needs the rights to do that. So it knows the principle, it knows the resources.
Yep.
Oh man.
Yep. It defaults
You
to
get the hug at reInvent there, Indo.
it defaults to effect allow. I can override that with effect deny. So it's just like going through the console without having to go through the console. Cool.
That is slick.
Yeah.
I've already reading some stuff on Twitter. Great stuff about this. With that, and I know we're at time, so I'm going to roll us up. But can you real quick share a link to this in the chat, or if you'll send it to me, I can send it. I don't know if you can. I'll send it to everybody. There on the right there, there's a little private chat. You can send it to me, and I'll send it to all. But a link to your repo will be great. With that, next week, starting Monday, I've got a couple of heroes that are joining me on Monday. You'll see lots of tweets about it coming soon. They're going to be joining me, and we're going to be talking about, what are the heroes seeing coming as we're going into reInvent. reInvent kind of starts Monday afternoon. I have my first session Monday night. I really encourage you to come. If you're not coming to Vegas, check it out virtually. There's a lot of really good information that's set out at reInvent. A lot of really good sessions where you can learn, much like what Michael has done today. I really appreciate it. Thank you, sir, for joining us. And with that, and I don't know if you had that link anywhere. Oh, I see it. Nope, that's not it. Sorry.
That's not it. I'm working on it.
That's all right. You know what we can do? We can also tweet it if we need to.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So watch for the follow-up on this, and I will tweet it out. We'll get you a link so you can start playing with this stuff. Upgrade to Amplify 7. And with that, we will see you in just a few days at reInvent. All right. Thank you,
everybody.
Thanks. Yeah, thank you, sir. And I'm going to end us here. Thanks again, buddy. We'll see you later.